Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Heather Havenwood, who is the author of Sexy Boss. Heather, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, so give us a little bit of background on yourself, and I know we'll get talking about your book, but what is the focus of you and your company and your journey to entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. My journey to entrepreneurship is, I think, something that most people can relate to. I started in the corporate world like most people, and I was taught, go to school and get a corporate job. And I did very well in the corporate world. I went from sales. I was number one in sales in the entire country in Southwestern Bell Wireless, which is a global Fortune 500 company back in late 90s. And then one day I was at the top of my game, and then I was fired/let go because I wasn't playing politics in the company, and it really confused me. I was like, wait a minute, I thought I give you my time, I make you money, big company, and then you give me a little bit and we're happy.
Yep.
I thought that's what happened. I was young. I was 25. I was the only female in the office of the average person was male and 40. So I think that was a lot of it too. And I didn't know what to do. And so I ended up in a journey of entrepreneurship over 10 years in a way, and consulting and trying to figure my way through what is entrepreneurship. Is that for me? What do I do? And I actually ended up in the information marketing industry and traveling the country for 7 years in the real estate space. You see those infomercials now. You want to buy and sell houses? You'd find me when you go to the room. So I did that and started consulting speakers and authors and coaches on how to speak from stage and how to present and sell. And here I am almost 15 years later, and my business today helps small business owners as well as authors and speakers on how to position, message, and market themselves on an online platform so they can leverage their time.
I like that a whole lot because I think that too many people hear and think, internet marketing, online marketing, and it's a whole like a black hole of, confusion. And so when you can put, I teach marketing strategy, and positioning is a big, big thing. And it's how people see you and your brand in their own mind, right? What is that first thing that you think of when you think, boom, whatever? And branding is so important. So what is some of the first steps that you would teach an entrepreneur regarding that? Because I know that you have to be really laser targeted and not too broad, right?
Absolutely. I start with a concept called H to H, right? Now, my name is Heather Havenwood, but it really means human to human, what that means. H to H. And the reason I say that is because at the end of the day, I know we love our social media, and we love our fancy graphics and our analytics and all this cool stuff. But at the end of the day, we're still dealing with human beings. And human beings haven't changed that much. I know we want to say we haven't. Why we buy, why we choose things, why we cry, why we get upset, why we get angry, those things haven't altered. And when you're doing sales of anything, if you're a dentist or a chiropractor or a lawyer or a quote-unquote internet marketer and you're doing big VSL pushes and funnels, you're still dealing with a human being on the other side. And that's the piece people forget. And I call it the H to H model, is that when I work with clients, I have to get them back to who's your market. And I always say, name the person. I call it the Homer Simpson. I could take them through a whole Homer Simpson exercise, because we know who Homer Simpson looks like. We know where he lives. We know if he's married. We know how many kids he has. We know what beer he likes. We know exactly who he is. And so you've got to create what I call your Homer Simpson of your model, because then you can visualize the person, not a demographic, because then it takes the human beingness out of it, right?
Yeah, and I like that whole approach, because I've even heard that people would coach clients to say, hey, create that avatar like you just mentioned, and then they take it a step further and say, not only name your avatar, your target audience, but get some stock photo picture of a representation of that avatar, and when you're doing your webinar for your target audience, paste that thing right up above your monitor, and you're presenting your webinar to that person, and you're speaking to that person, and it really just helps embed it in their mind. So I think that's a really huge thing, is to get that dialed in really, really tightly. So what's a big mistake that people make when they start thinking of creating their target audience avatar?
They say the worst words, which is everyone's my market.
Yep.
Right? Or every adult, or anybody over 30 that has a credit card. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, wrong answer. And this goes, even though we've grown technology, this is a tactic that back in the days of the 50s and 60s, the Madman era of advertising, this is what they did. They knew who their market was. They named her Jane, and Jane was married, and she was 40, and she had 2 kids. One was a boy. I mean, they literally went down to that granular. She likes yoga, she likes Dial soap. I mean, you just have to really get who she is. And nowadays with Facebook, you can really think about that.
Yep.
Jane likes Oprah. Jane doesn't like Oprah. She likes Ellen, and then you could target to her because they like Ellen over Oprah. I mean, so it gets really granular, but this is an old school strategy, right, and a new era. And you have to get granular. One of the biggest mistakes I get is everyone's my market. Everyone could use yoga, and everyone could needs my services as a dentist. And I'm like, yeah, but who's really paying for the services?
Yeah, and you know what? Here's where I think I'll ask you this question, and because it's something that I've faced over the years, and I've seen clients of mine face over the years, which is you don't need to right away necessarily change your entire branding on your company to be the yoga instructor to female mechanics. Right? Because that's a niche, and if you're a male, you're not going to come to my class. If you're a female that likes whatever, you're not. But I want people that whatever. So you don't have to make your entire company that way. You can just think of that niche and that target audience as a marketing campaign, and set up a landing page, a sales funnel, the Facebook ad, whatever, and have all of your branding for that campaign to be for there. But you may have another campaign running for yoga for men who whatever, right? So where do you advise clients that say, let's pick these buckets and these verticals, but it doesn't mean on your homepage at blah.com, you can still say, I teach yoga and here's my philosophy of yoga.
Well, there's a couple things there. One, I also call it self-selecting. There's campaigns I've worked with where you send, because of the list or the campaign, you're sending everyone to one, let's just call it landing page for sake of conversation, and then they self-select. Male, click here, or female, click here, because the copy is different. The sales copy is different, or the VSL or the video sales on the side is different. You can do that. You can do self-selection. That's another piece of it. Or you can do that with online, or you can do brick and mortar companies as well. But I'll give you an example of a company that I own here in Austin that I co-created with my fiance, and it's called Skinny Beam. And I remember when we went through this whole marketing thing, we spent almost 6 months going through the conversation of who's our market. And he was like, anyone, because you lose weight, you lay down and lose, you lose inches. And he's like, guys want that too. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a vanity play, right? You lay down, you lose weight. So who's paying more for what we call vanity? Women, 45. Her name is Tanya, right? She lives in the burbs. She's got 3 kids. She's busy. That's our market. Yeah. And we know we can sell the woman, the men come, because it's usually like my wife told me to come, right? So we know we're going to get the men through the women, right? So that's what we did. All of our marketing, all of our language, all of our emails is really geared towards Tanya, right? Yeah. So, and because we know we're gonna get a woman who's 25, we're gonna get older, but the person that's going to pay that large fee to do nothing and lose weight is gonna be the 42-year-old Tanya, right? And anyone in her life she's gonna share that with. So you have to think that through. But I love this self-selecting because I work with out in the dating industry, and sometimes you can't just say, well, only male to women or only male to men. It's like sometimes they self-select. Like, oh, I'm a male. It's different when I'm a female. So you can also do that in the self-selection.
Well, I think that in the marketing world, that is like the new higher-end survey, buckets, funnels, whatever you want to think of it. But you're exactly right, because if you said, are you male or female, that's a micro commitment. They're going to check male or female, and then the next question is, do you like whatever? And so now all of a sudden, because of their responses, they can get specific messages, and maybe their email is going to go, hey guys, how would you like, or hey ladies. And so I think that's huge for personalization, for customization, and everything that way. So I guess what I would say is, like to your point about the women that, and you mentioned even previously financial topics. Well, I think that there's some statistics. I remember reading some point where it's like women are 83% of the time making financial decisions. So, maybe the ad copy needs to be more softer because it's going to appeal to a woman. You got to know that buyer.
Absolutely. It's I'm thinking about, I work out at Gold's Gym, and I have to share this with you. So in the bathroom, you have the bathroom stalls. They have a bunch of ads. There's an ad right now, and I see it all the time. The ad is for men's health, right? Huh. Total men's health. It's literally marketing to women for men's health. And the reason it says it, big, bold letter, like 90% of men's health is determined by the woman. So it's saying, yes, we know this is a men's health clinic, and we are talking to you, woman, because we know you're the one who's going to get your man
that makes the influence. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or how about using the same kind of example for cologne? Hey, ladies, you want your man to smell like this? Well, maybe now that should not be the only angle that a cologne company takes for men, but that should be a piece of it, right? Because what does the guy care? He doesn't care what this smells like or not, maybe, but if the woman in his life likes this smell, maybe she's the one making that decision.
There is some huge statistic I heard years ago, and I don't know what it is. I misremember. It's extremely large of the cologne for men was bought by women that they give to their husbands or whatnot during Christmas. It was really high. Like 80% of the cologne was actually bought by women. Same thing. And so you have to know your market. You think, men's cologne, men, and total men's health clinic for men. Well, not necessarily. It's interesting. So you have to really think through who your avatar is. And the other thing I want to say is that in email marketing, I have this kind of philosophy, Mike, that email marketing is the new TV guide. And do you remember the TV Guide? Remember back in the day?
I do remember TV Guide, yeah. I'm surprised they're still even around in the grocery store racks.
Yeah, remember back in the day, I feel so old, right? Back in the day, 1999 or 2000.
Yeah, right.
You'd go to the grocery store, you'd have to get in line, and you'd pick up the TV Guide, and then I would circle what I wanted to watch or something to my mom or something. And nowadays, you just click on a guide. Back in the day, millennials, that wasn't there. So nowadays, when we're bored or we have time on our hands, or I'm at the airport and I got an hour, what do? We go on. Exactly what we're looking at. Email. It's our email. So our email is our TV guide. We also look for information, it's communication, but it's also where we get entertainment. So going back to the segmentation, it's like, hey, ladies, check out this. You're going to click on that, or not you, but me. I want to click on that. Maybe it's the entertainment. So we look at email as not only the communication tool, but as the entertainment. So I want you to think about that when you're writing, when you're communicating to your list, is that you want to make sure you go, not only they want to get information, they want entertainment part of that too.
Well, and that, edutainment, things like that, that's just making your message come to life I love reading the Go-Giver type books where it's like a business lesson taught in story format, because that's how learning comes to life. You bring that emotional and creative aspect to it. So I think that's huge. And, you think about, you can buy 10 email success marketing copywriting courses, and you can get really lost in the weeds, but sometimes you just need to know your message so well and your target audience so well that you just talk to them. Do you need to have header and footer graphics in every email, or do you just want to go, hey, have you ever thought about this, and have you ever had this, today, here's whatever, and just kind of conversationally communicate.
Conversation. It's a conversation with one person. If you know this, if you get an email and you can feel that it's it's written mass, like a mass email.
Yep.
We all know when it's mass email. We can see it, okay? But when we feel it's talked to as mass, we're going to probably remove it, delete it, whatever, skip it. But when it feels like it's talking to me, I'm going to read it because it feels like it's only talking to me. Versus like
it's kind of like if your friend emailed you today and said, hey, what movie do you want to see tonight? Do you think that they would create a header graphic and a footer graphic and blah, blah, blah? They'd send a 2-line email. Right. And I don't think that every single one of our emails in a marketing follow-up series needs to be that way. But I'll tell you what, I've seen great success in my advising clients and seeing what works for them is you need to have some of the emails that teach and go deeper and all that. We know that. Content marketing, educational, got it. But every so often, every 3, 4, 5 emails or whatever needs to be like 2 sentences. And it needs to go, Heather, hey, do you have any questions on blah, blah, blah? Happy to help. Let me know, Mike. And that feels like it was an email I sent you, not some 4-paragraph long, email. So I think that that's huge. Sure. And yes, when you are writing the 4-paragraph long emails, you need to be writing to that one person and don't say, hey guys, hey you all, because I think that again subconsciously makes people feel like you're just writing to a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. It's like, hey stud, or hey yo, or what's up guys? It's like, I know in the internet marketing space, it's I get a lot of, hey, what's up, guys? And I'm like, I'm a girl.
Yeah, right.
Wrong market. That's true. And also the other thing with email marketing, which I think it's people have gotten this now, but no longer the old school newsletter. I'm not big on that, like the big newsletter and there's 5,000 things going on. It's usually one conversation with one person and then what I call one action you want them to take. It could be, like you said, hey, tell me your questions. That's an action. Hey, click on this one thing. It's one thing you want them to do. It's not a bulletin. Remember back in the day, I mean, for my church, I'm Baptist, you open up, it's like a bulletin. It's all these things going on. No longer. You don't want that. This is one thing. It's one channel, and it's one request, one action, whatever that is. And
that's such a huge point that we could spend about another hour and a half on that one point. But it makes me think of 2 things. A, how many times do you go to somebody's website and you see smack dab in the middle of it, sign up for my newsletter? Nobody wants a newsletter, right? I mean, so say, something to the same effect, but hey, keep informed. Stay updated on our recent blah, 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 or join the tribe or whatever you want to be. But I think that that's a thing that people want to shy away from is I don't want another, blitz of information in my inbox. And then the other aspect is a confused mind never buys. So that email newsletter thing with, 8 bullet points and this, and you're like, I don't know. But how about just that one? There's so many, minimalistic or what's the one thing, concepts out there. But in that one email, what is the one action you want them to take? Not the 19, not the in this episode you're going to read. And maybe there's a time for that once a quarter, maybe possibly. But I think simplicity is where it's at and clarity.
Absolutely. It's interesting you said that. That's one of my favorite sayings. A confused mind never buys. That's actually one of my favorite things I say to my clients. I'm like, there's too many options. A confused mind never buys. So inside of clarity, I have a statement that I say to myself, and this is before I do anything, being on this show, any kind of project, I actually ask myself this question. Does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity? And the reason I ask that as an entrepreneur, when there's clarity, there's power, right? And then there's power, there's movement, and there's action, and there's things that come out of it. When there's confusion with myself or a project, it never turns out well, right? And therefore, same thing with marketing. When there's confusion in the marketplace or in your writing, confusion doesn't create clarity. Clarity is where the power is. So I ask myself that question: Does this feed my confusion or strengthen my clarity?
And you know what? If I had a mic, I'd drop it right there because that right there is what we need to end on. Just clarity and focus, and don't confuse the people you're talking to. And we can quote unquote talk ourselves out of a sale either on the phone, in person, or an email because you go, and now all of a sudden it's like, just here's the next step. The next thing I want you to do is boom. And I think that is so important. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So let's wrap up with this. What's the best way that people can learn more about you, your brand, your books, your services, your, speaking, whatever that you can do to help them in their business?
Thank you so much. Well, you can go to my website, Havenwood.com. In the upper right-hand corner, it says Work with Heather. Just click on that and go there, and you can set up a time that works for you that we can get on the phone. But I also want to give your listeners a free gift. If they text the word sexy to 72000, again, that's text the word sexy to 72,000 on their smartphone, cell phone, then they can get three free chapters of my audiobook. Now, it's only in the U.S., unfortunately. It doesn't work international. Not sure why. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, Heather, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful getting to know you and having a great, fun conversation about making our marketing message work.
Thank you, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.